For centuries, sailors shaped the language we still speak today.
All hands on deck!
Their daily struggles with wind, rope, canvas, and storm gave rise to expressions that drifted into everyday English, and the stories of where they began.
Rough seas are coming! Batten down the hatches!
This command appeared in the early 1700s among British naval crews. Wooden battens were used to fasten tarred canvas over hatch openings before a storm. That would keep water out of the ship.
This ship gets a clean bill of health.
Port health officers began issuing these documents in the 1700s to certify that a ship carried no contagious disease aboard.
She's high and dry.
This came from stranded vessels left to the tide line. It appears in journals and maritime court records from the 1600s.
Give us the ladle, I'm parched! And then the wench threw the bucket right over him. A fine sight that must have been.
In the 18th century Royal Navy, fresh water was stored in a cask called a scuttlebutt. Sailors gathered there, and gossip gathered with them.
Give a wide berth! We must have hit something.
Sailors in the early 1700s used this to describe anchoring far enough from shore
on the ropes, heave.
Or other ships to avoid collision.
Let's get this done, or we'll have the devil to pay.
On wooden ships, the seam between the hull and top deck was nicknamed the Devil. Sealing it with tar was one of the hardest jobs, known since the 1600s.
Get ready to go ashore, mates. We're in the offing.
The offing was the area of sea seen from shore.
They're in the offing.
Captains used the term as early as the 1600s to describe ships nearing port. Today we might say a big promotion is in the offing for her.
Everything is under control. I'm at the helm.
Recorded in the 1500s and used throughout the age of sail, this referred to the sailor steering the great wooden wheel.
Cast loose! Admire!
A centuries-old naval command ordering the release of lines, cannons, or sails, documented in Royal Navy drill books of the 1700s.
We're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea.
Sailors coined this expression in the 1600s. The devil was again the ship's outer seam. The deep blue sea was the water below. Neither was a good place to be.
Tow the line!
Tow the line. On naval ships during the 1700s, sailors stood at attention with their toes touching the deck plank seams. Perfect straight lines.
I'm a little under the weather today.
When sailors were sick in the 1700s, they were sent below deck, literally under the worst of the weather and waves.
Loose cannon!
In the 1700s, ship logs described unsecured cannons breaking free in rough seas, a deadly hazard every sailor feared.
There! She's taken down a peg.
Ship's masts used peg notches to measure the height of flags. Lowering a flag a peg was a symbolic demotion, noted in the 17th century naval tradition.
They've got him over a barrel.
Sailors in the 1700s were tied over a barrel for whipping or revival after drowning. The phrase came directly from these grim practices. Sailors of the 1700s marked depth in fathoms, 6 feet each. To deep sink something meant to drop it into water at least 6 fathoms deep.
We get 2 square meals a day.
Royal Navy ships in the 1700s served food on square wooden plates. These were called square meals, long before the phrase entered land-based speech.
By and large, this ship handles very well.
This expression began appearing in Royal Navy logbooks in the 1600s. It combined 2 sailing terms, by, meaning into the wind, and large, meaning with the wind at the ship's back. A ship that handled well, by and large, could sail effectively under almost any wind condition, something only the best designed vessels could claim. In the age of tall ships, the boatswain, the bosun, used a whistle called a pipe to signal commands. Pipe down was the signal blown late at night, telling the crew to stop talking and turn in. Captains used it as far back as the 1700s, and sailors quickly adopted it as slang for "be quiet."
3 sheets to the wind!
On square-rigged ships, a sheet was a rope used to control a sail. If 3 sheets came loose, the sail flapped wildly and the ship staggered and swayed. Sailors of the 1700s used it to describe a vessel out of control, and soon applied it to shipmates who had enjoyed too much rum.
Yoo-hoo-hoo! And a bottle of rum! Our only chance is to cut and run!
This term goes back to the 1600s when a ship in danger, whether from a storm, pirates, or enemy fire, might literally cut its anchor cable and run for open sea. Losing the anchor was better than losing the ship.
Show our true colors!
Naval vessels once carried several sets of flags, both their nation's colors and false ones meant to deceive opponents. Maritime law, however, required that a ship raise its real flag before firing. Pirates and naval captains used the phrase throughout the 1700s.
We're being taken aback!
Square-rigged ships depended on proper sail alignment. When the wind unexpectedly shifted and filled a sail from the wrong direction, the vessel could stall or even start moving backward. Logs from the 1600s showed captains using the term "taken aback" to describe a sudden unwanted jolt.
It's hand over fist to get up here.
A purely nautical term from the early 1800s, it described sailors hauling line rapidly, one hand pulling after the other, bringing in the rope with speed. Efficient deckhands were praised for working hand over fist. Tack refers to a ship's direction relative to the wind.
Change course now. We're on the wrong tack.
If the helmsman chose the wrong tack, the ship slowed or drifted. Captains as early as the 1700s used the phrase to scold officers who made poor decisions.
You must know the ropes.
A tall ship carried hundreds of lines, sheets, halyards, braces, and stays. New sailors had to memorize them quickly or risk disaster. If sailors didn't know the ropes, bad things could happen. And so, from the rolling decks of wooden ships to the everyday language of millions, these expressions remind us that the sea has shaped far more than our geography. It has shaped our words, our metaphors, and the way we tell our stories.